NFL picks an MVP frontrunner. And Nick Castellanos' finger. Just the thought of Nick Castellanos doing anything knows it's going to be bad for somebody. But this was a fake out. This was the ring finger. Unveiling the ring finger celebration. Let's go. Unveiling the ring finger celebration in
Playoff game 1. That is a bold maneuver for the Philadelphia Phillies.
I use Barbie as a trademark there.
What kind of makes you think it can look dramatically different with Joe still battling the same stuff next week?
Yeah, it is what it is, and I think every week's going to continue to prove that way. Again, we've just got to be better on the things that we can control.
Zach Taylor hopeful Joe Burrow is healthy enough to run the Bengals offense, which makes me ask. Kevin Clark at 1-3 and 2 games back in the division. Are you as optimistic as the coach? The Bengals and Burrow and the offensive issues will fix itself.
No, I'm not. It's time to sit him. Joe Burrow himself said last year the window to win the Super Bowl is as long as he is there. This is a 10-year decision, not a 10-day decision. You sit him, you get him healthy. Vision is his superpower, and he can't do anything right now. The calf is making it so he can't move in the pocket. He's not getting past his first read. He is not Joe Burrow right now. Sit him, get a good draft pick, send him away for a month, try to get him healthy. This is not getting better as currently constructed.
Kevin Blackistone, is that how you see it?
Absolutely. I mean, he's nothing but he's as mobile in the pocket as a scarecrow right now. So you got to be able to, you got to sit him down. He should have been sat down a few weeks ago. We said that on this show. It is not getting any better. And the scary thing is you could be risking further injury. You invested in him all that money, not for him to win just this season, but for him to be there 10 years from now and still winning games for you. He's the reason you got to a Super Bowl. He's the reason you've been successful. He's the reason that this Cincinnati Bengals franchise right now for the last couple of years has been as successful as it has been. Do not blow it
That's
now.
two panelists who aren't exactly buying what the coach is saying. Woody Page, how about you?
You got two guys that have already given up on this show. Basically, you don't do that this early in the season. I would much rather have a 38% Joe Burrow than a 100% Jake Browning,
Really?
who has been a career practice player. He's not a guy. He's thrown one pass in the NFL. He didn't even complete that. You really want Jake Browning to go that month, Kevin, that you're talking about, you send him away? No, I think that Burrow's getting a little bit better each week. He was a statue in the pocket last week. He was there in the pistol or the shotgun the entire game. I think he's going to be able to move around a little bit more, even though T. Higgins is not practicing this week. He doesn't have one of his favorite receivers, but you don't give up now on the season. You can still be there, but if you lose this week, you got no
Glenn
chance
Yates,
of going anywhere.
What do you take away from Zach Taylor's comments about optimistic and Burrow's going to run this offense the way he can?
He's not just the reason why this team's been any good in the past couple seasons. He's the reason why this team has returned to respectability in terms of the name of their own fans and around the league in general. People thought it was a smart play in order to sign him up long term after the good year that they had going to the Super Bowl. This would be going against your own logic in order to get this guy injured. I can understand a month or so. You just wanted to see. But at this stage, I mean, this guy can't throw. The air yards completed versus expected are completely down versus what they were last year. It's clearly not working. Protect your investment, or else people are going to think you're the same old Bengals who just don't exactly know what they're doing overall as a franchise.
KC, how much of this do you hear a coach trying to will optimism about his team, and how much do you think it really is, well, he's seeing things in practice, and he's looking at numbers thinking, well, he can still run this offense?
We've seen Joe Burrow do such special stuff and come from behind like this. They're the only team in the 17 playoff era to start 0-2 and still make the playoffs. He's a miracle worker. They're depending on that again. He loves to see the whole field. He basically says that basically vision takes a couple weeks to figure out, to go forward. It's not going to happen with this calf right now, but they're waiting on that. He's like a golfer. He's a field player, but it's not coming.
Wow. Woody Page, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, well, the point you have to remember here, though, is once again, playoff chances, and it will only be 6% if they lose this week. So you've got to give him a chance.
So
Kevin, when you were 5 years old watching me say this, you actually agreed with me in your home.
I don't know. I think you're putting your heart in his heart right now. But we'll move on. Aaron Rodgers is next up. Stay with me. Aaron Rodgers is next up. But I say it because this is a headline. He's hopeful about coming back this year for the Jets. When we saw him Sunday night, it was noticeable. He was out of a boot. And he says it's been out of the boot since 13 days after the Achilles surgery, when it's typically 6 weeks. So he's ahead of the game. The last game of the Jets season would still be short of the 4-month mark of recovery, which we've never seen anyone come back that quick. But you see it. Rodgers here, he's calling it manifestation zeitgeist. Clinton Yates, it's understandable Rodgers wants to attack his rehab, but for the question here, I'm asking about the Jets. Is it wise for the Jets to be thinking about Rodgers coming back this regular season right now?
No, not remotely. Aaron Rodgers is a narcissist and clearly does not have that many close friends, because you do not need to be announcing to the world every week your thoughts on your leg when you're not playing football. It doesn't matter to the New York Football Jets, and this was my concern from the beginning. When you've got a guy with that kind of platform who needs that much attention, taking up that much airspace, what happens with your actual team won't matter at all. If I'm the owner of the Jets, I'm placing a phone call and saying, Aaron, enough. Please, at the very least, contribute to what we're doing on the field, because the rest of this stuff, nobody cares about. It's not going to affect the team anyway.
Woody Page, should the Jets be thinking about Rodgers this season, even though Rodgers is putting it out there?
I just think it's funny that the two most important people in the NFL have not played a game this year. One of them sits in a suite. The other one is on the side of the field saying, oh, I'm going to come back at the beginning of the playoffs. Not a chance of that. The Jets should be concentrating on, again, they've got to win in Denver or their season probably is going to be over even before he thinks about coming back. Let's consider Cam Akers. He had the same problem with his Achilles, and he came back in 5.5 months. He's 22 years old. The oldest man in the NFL thinks he's going to be on that same sort of pace to come back. No, there's not a chance. The best he could come back in is in January, and the Jets will be long gone by then.
Black Stone.
Well, I'll just have to remind everybody that it was June 15th, the year 2000, on the eve of Game 5 between the Pacers and the Lakers in the NBA Finals, when I blew out my Achilles. I think Frank Isola tripped me up on the basketball court. Do you know how long it took me to get back? I would have been well past the beginning of the next NFL season.
Athlete. I mean, we've gone through this before. The idea that he wants to come back and wants to be optimistic is very understandable. It's his body, and this is. It is, but it would be a medical miracle, medicine that he, by the way, does not believe in, that would be able to bring him back in that rapid a time frame. It is not happening. It will not happen. And by the way, the team that he's talking about coming back to, why would you this season? They're not going to be in the playoffs. Kevin Clark, you see it any other way here than the rest of your cohorts?
I was going through transcripts from my interviews with Rodgers. He was the most famous guy I'd talked to before I met Woody this morning. And he's got a little quote, Aaron Rodgers, our words are spells. And I think that he's just trying to, as he said, manifest this a little bit. But what he's also trying to do is become the Jets' Taylor Swift. He saw the attention that you can get sitting in a luxury box on Sunday night, and now he's going to be there every single week, or even better, he gets to be on the West Coast and the broadcaster gets to hint that he's there. He gets to star in a game that he cannot star in because of his Achilles. He's going to do it anyway.
I accept the representation you all have about Rodgers. The guy should want to come back. He should want to be able to talk about how optimistic he is. I get what you're saying about the Jets season not making to the point where he would be healthy enough to do it. Kevin Clark's first show with Woody Page. Kevin, you're learning now you don't do the show with Woody. You do the show amongst Woody. We'll move on. My favorite thing to do after week 4 of the NFL season, crack open the MVP. So let's do that. Here are the gambling odds. And Allen, Tua, Mahomes, and Hurts are at the top there. Why don't we just rename this the QB Award? Christian McCaffrey is 20-1 while on pace for nearly 30 touchdowns. And those were the gambling odds. But let's look at some stats here. Washington Post put this out today. I love this. This is the expected points added to a team, and it's Tua, Purdy, Allen, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, and Puka. So seeing some receivers showing value this season. Woody, who was your MVP pick, and could a non-QB like Christian McCaffrey or a receiver or a Micah Parsons type defensive player ever win in today's game?
I want both the Kevins to listen closely to this. As the only person on this panel who actually watched Chris McCaffrey play in high school and be the most valuable player in the state championship game, he can do it again. Why not? Does it have to be a quarterback? I know they've won the last decade, and they win 2/3 of the time since the MVP award was named to begin with, But I think, why can't it be a Parsons with the Dallas Cowboys? Why can't it be Tyreek Hill in the year he's having with Miami? Why does it have to be a quarterback as the most valuable player? Again, like in the NBA, we're not talking about the best player in the league. We're talking about the one that's most valuable. And so far, getting a touchdown in every game so far this season, and 4 in one game, and 600 yards from scrimmage and 7 touchdowns, of course he should be not only in the conversation, he should be at the top of the first sentence.
Kevin Clark, I turn to you. Can a non-QB, can a Christian McCaffrey possibly win an MVP in today's game?
Yes, and he should. There's no more important position in football than the quarterback position. But in the absence of a perfect quarterback, which there is right now, what about a perfect running back? He's almost leading the league by 100 yards in rushing. Here's a stat. The Niners are only punting or turning the ball over 30% of the time. The Patriots are above 70% on that metric there. Mac Jones and Bill Belichick and all those geniuses over there. So why not give it to the best skill guy in the best offense in football, and that's McCaffrey.
Well, you saw the statistic and graph we put up there. That was expected points added. I saw Purdy's name on there. I saw Ayuk's name on there. I didn't see McCaffrey's name on there, Kevin.
I think that passing is just more efficient than running the ball, but I think Kyle Shanahan is telling you with his play calling, with everything he's doing, with the investments they made a couple years ago, that he really likes Christian McCaffrey.
Kevin Blackistone, your MVP, could it be a non-QB?
It could be, but it won't be, and it shouldn't be, and that's because I put a capital V on MVP with value. And I'll point to Lamar Jackson right now, and this is why. He's playing behind a banged-up offensive line. He doesn't have the running back that he was supposed to have. He doesn't have any receivers other than Mark Andrews, yet he's completing 74% of his passes. 12 out of 15 times in the red zone. He's put the ball in the end zone for a score. He is leading that team on his own to the 3-and-run record that the Ravens are at. And oh, by the way, he's also got hanging on his back that huge bag of money that people said he wasn't worth having. That is the most valuable player in the NFL right now.
You know, as the only one that's actually sat next to Neil Greenberg at the Washington Post when he cooked up those stories, I'll have to say that when he points out that he's not even the most valuable player on his own team, that is an indication that the bias is just too much. Change this award to most outstanding player and give it to the guy that everybody likes the most. This is what most leagues should do, and the NFL is just not with the times.
But they do it to a quarterback every year now in today's game, which is understandable. The receiver's value has increased in the last 10 years. Anyone know the last non-QB to win the MVP award in the NFL?
Adrian Peterson.
Oh, Kevin Clark, quick on the draw. Bonus points. Buy or sell next.
Position in the league.
To Around the Horn, coming to you from the Seaport, brought to you by Chase.
Just the thought of Nick Castellanos doing anything puts a scare into you. You know it's going to be bad for somebody. Giving everybody the finger as it appeared for a brief second. Made you look. It's the ring finger. The Phillies want that ring. Game 1 going to Philly. Bryce Harper, all gas, no brakes, as he totally disregards the stop sign to score a tack-on run as Philly takes out the Marlins. Miami's season on the line tonight. That's how quick this happens here in the wild card round. Clinton Yates, buy or sell Phillies trolling, buy or sell Phillies rolling.
I'm buying the Phillies rolling. This started last season when they made that huge run in the postseason to get all the way to the World Series, even though they didn't win it. I'm buying them trolling. They got the chest out. They got the jerseys undone. They're blowing through stop signs who probably should have put them up earlier in the game against Kyle. I love everything about this team.
Woody Page.
I'm buying it. Castellanos is one of the most entertaining personalities in all of baseball. He was having some fun for the moment, and you have Bryce Harper just blowing past the third base coach there. I think they're fun, and Phillies fans are the best in the league as far as I'm concerned.
Kevin Blackistone.
Ooh, Phillies fans, the best in the league. As a DC guy, it is hard for me to give them credit, but I'm buying rolling, I'm buying trolling. I just can't believe that Bayou Barbie, Angel Reese, has not patented the ring finger move, right? Isn't that what we saw in the finals?
This is a little bit different, but I hear what you're saying.
Right.
Kevin Clark.
I'm buying the Phillies rolling. They seem great. I'm selling the celebration. I didn't like the subtlety to it. Jake Cave said he had to watch it and slow it down on an iPad to make sure it is what he thought he was. We don't need Easter eggs. This isn't a Star Wars show. do something. Do the Angel Reese thing. Do the Angel Reese thing.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, come on now, Clark. You got to enjoy that. You're buying Phillies fans, Woody Page, is the best in the league. Speaking of buying, all right? The tickets to get into the joint in Philadelphia are about 5 times the price of every other game, including Tampa, which I'm not sure if you saw the attendance in that game. That's not hard to do. But that's where the fans are in this postseason in Philadelphia. We'll move on. Buy or sell 2?
In these playoffs, he became the Lakers' daddy.
That was then. This is now. The schedule makers know what they're doing. Lakers at Nuggets for Denver's ring night. The Lakers say they're circling that game. LeBron and Davis and Reeves all talking up that parade celebration. Mike Malone being introduced like that this summer and this week. Woody, buy or sell the Lakers being motivated by the Nuggets' non-world championship parade celebration?
Methinks the Lakers doth protest too much. I mean, they're using when the team was 3 sheets to the wind at a parade afterward, and they're introduced as being the Lakers' daddies. I mean, really, that's the kind of way you have to use motivation. Keep in mind that you got 7 players coming back from last year's team that got its act kicked by the Nuggets. And here's what we think in Denver.
Act kick. All right, Woody. Okay, it's act kick. Well, I guess that conveys. Kevin Blackistone.
Yeah, I was going to say if they should circle anything, it should be the last playoff series that they were in against those very Nuggets,
too, I think.
where they didn't pull off anything. So they need to circle the whole season. I mean, they're about championships. They're not just about one team. So come on, Lakers, bigger than that.
Circle the whole season. That's good, KP. KC?
Yeah, this is not a rivalry. I'm selling it. I think the Lakers are doing a good job of what we do all the time, which is taking a story not about the Lakers and making it about the Lakers.
And Clinton Yates.
Yeah, you know, I mean, actually, this has been one of the more composed off seasons for the Lakers. At Media Day, they seem like a team that finally has some continuity, finally has kept people over the course of a couple of months. They're just replying as a confident squad to a team they think they can beat. They were the Nuggets' best opponent in the last playoff run, even including the finals, if you look at the points.
Woody doesn't buy that. Woody had the Nuggets sweeping that series from the start. Yeah, that's what he had. Absolutely. With the Yates and Kevin Clark, thank you for your time today. Paige, you know what I'm talking about. Blackistone, that's our showdown next.
Around the Horn is presented by Truly Hard Seltzer. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Woody Page, Kevin Blackistone, good luck in the showdown. Evan Longoria's defense here. And the 7 pitchers Arizona used to win this game. And the Corbin on Corbin crime, Carroll getting the best of birds. Diamondbacks 1 game away from running the Brewers out. Woody, who you got tonight in game 2?
Well, I've got the Diamondbacks because they've got their best pitcher, 17-9, Zach Gallen, on the mound. They won't have to pitch 7 guys tonight. He'll go 7 innings.
KB?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I think the Brewers blew their shot. 17 runners last night, and they couldn't get any more than 3 runs out of it. That was your shot. Going up against Gallen, not happening.
The way the series started with the news about Woodruff. Go with the Snakes, and since you agree with Woody, Woody gets your point, Kevin Blackistone. We'll move on. Showdown 2. Draymond on Chris Paul.
If you've ever watched Chris compete, he's kind of you may say the same thing about me. He's also one of the most competitive guys that, I've played against.
Chris is kind of a bleep, says Draymond. Kevin, how do you see this relationship playing out if this is where it starts a week into Media Day?
I completely agree, and I think the guys around the league that would agree with that assessment, including Chris Paul. It's a competitive instinct, a competitive desire, and I think having both those guys on the same side of the floor is going to work for them.
It takes a bleep to know a bleep, and they basically are 2 bleeps, and I think this turns into Lord of the Flies by the end of the season. With
you don't think they'll be able to work it out? They'll.
Oh, they're pros. It'll work.
You agree with Kevin, Woody. You gave them 2 points right back to KB. Let's do showdown 3. Trent Dilfer's tirade on the sideline Saturday for UAB. You saw this. It went viral. He went after everybody, assistant coaches especially. Today, he said he's regretful of it, that his passion sometimes gets in the way. He's not very proud of his passion in this way. Is saying you're regretful enough to move on from this, Woody?
No, a former ESPN commentator should realize that you basically need to not only apologize to the assistant coach publicly, but to everybody that's involved in that program and that's a fan of that program.
KB?
Well, I think that's what he pretty much did. It was an ugly event. You don't like to see that, especially first-time coaches. Not a good way to act. And I hope that he was as well-spoken about his apology to them as he was
That's
everybody
right.
else.
He's got to do it behind the doors, too, to his coaches. Woody Page, 30 seconds of FaceTime.
Well, congratulations to me. This is my 2900th show on Around the Horn.
Okay.
I would just like to thank everybody. On the first show we did, you got to talk for as long as you got as many points. I had 2 points, and all I could say was, oh, hell. So, I want to thank everybody. I just have one question for myself. Where did all that money go over those years?
And that's win 664. You're coming up on another milestone soon. I don't know. Maybe we'll do it for Halloween.
Good.